Arizona football gets annihilated by Colorado, and further proof that Brent Brennan is in well over his head.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of today. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. All right, place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets. Guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel. All right, Arizona, Colorado. That was a butt whooping. There's no other way to put it. First of all, to Colorado fans, I will say this. The ones that have been there longer than 2022, I give you our 2023 big win. You guys are a much better football team. Arizona could play them 20 times and not win. The ones that just became fans, no, you don't get any credit. All right, now let's talk about Brent. Let's talk about what happened here. This is just from top to bottom, Colorado was just a vastly superior team, and that their offense was much better. And, I think what's crazy is Shedeur Sanders didn't even play that well. Travis Hunter didn't play in the second half. There's a lot of things, and again, they could have played Arizona 20 times and not lose. But Brent Brennan is clearly in well over his head. Absolutely nothing he does makes any sense whatsoever, and I think that's the part that's very concerning about him. There is no rhyme or reason. So, you start off with the onside kick against Colorado. Okay. Then it doesn't work. Now you also have somebody that doesn't even look like they're trying to get the ball, and so there was that. But the biggest problem, though, is that there is no consistency, no aggression whatsoever. The play of the game, to me, will always be that field goal. That field goal attempt when Arizona was down 21-10. That to me was, or 21-7. That was absolutely bizarre. I don't know what to make of that, and honestly, I don't know that anybody else knows what to make of that one either. Here's the deal. Arizona was not going to stop Colorado. Period, point blank, end of story. They were not going to stop Colorado. And when you've got it at 4th and 2, you've got to go for it there. You need touchdowns. You need to be able to get the ball in the end zone, and Arizona had none of that. What Brent Brennan decided is that he was going to go for a 50-plus yard field goal to make it 21-10. Huh? That makes no sense whatsoever. And not only that, it really kind of just sets the tempo or sets the tone, because you're basically telling people, all right, we don't care, you know what, let's just get some points, whatever the case may be. It was embarrassing. Don't know what else to say. It was absolutely embarrassing. That was a terrible, terrible look for the University of Arizona. And then watching him in his pressers, he just basically says, well, this is all on me. I need to get this fixed. He's clearly in over his head. Now, I will say this. I'm wrong on most things, but one thing that I will give myself some credit, I was out on him pretty early. None of these things that he did really made a lot of sense to me this offseason. First of all, he went out of his way not to engage the fan base that we talked about. So in times like this, you have absolutely no you have no margin for error, and that is something that you are where you are. He said, though, that he was going to be a CEO, that he was going to be the CEO head coach, that he was going to he was going to let the offense and the defense kind of be up to it, and he was going to go around seeing what was going on. Okay, that's fine. But if you're not calling plays and the offense isn't getting any better, and you're not engaged in the community, I guess my question is, what exactly are you doing? And I would just love to have a chart of what his daily situation looks like. But what he's done here in short order has been remarkably impressive in a bad way for Arizona football. There is absolutely no tempo to the offense. You've got Noah Fafita, who's getting absolutely killed out there, and looks like he forgot how to play football. Again, I said from day one, I don't put this on Noah Fafita. I put this on this coaching staff, especially Brent Brennan, because I think Brent Brennan is in well over his head. You look at T-Mac now. T-Mac doesn't look look like he's enjoying football. He looks like he just wants to get out of here. And honestly, can you really blame him? This is a train wreck. There's no other way around it. The offensive line is awful as well. There's just everything across the board is just bad for Arizona, and I don't know that there's really any other way to put it. This is absolutely embarrassing. What he's done with the offense has been honestly, it's been amazing. And that this is a terrible offense that he is presiding over, and there's no way again that Noah Fafita just forgot how to play football. I don't buy that. I don't see any of that. Also, the offensive line, let's talk about that for a second. You got a first-round pick in Jonas Avenea. You got a guy coming back in Wendell Moy who is really good last year. You've also got a Josh Baker. You've got a lot of different dudes, and they all look the line just looks absolutely terrible. There's just no other way around it. Then at tight end, obviously you got Sam Olsen. You can't take Sam Olsen off the field, but the offense is totally broke. There's no way around it, and you got to put that on Brent Brennan for what he put together here. He put together a staff offensively that is in over its head as well. You got a guy in Dino Babers that hadn't called a play in 20 years. Then you bring him in, you replace him with Matt Adkins, who I think is a little bit better, but still, Matt Adkins is very green. He's in over. This isn't. He shouldn't be piloting a team that had top 25 expectations. So there's all of that. But again, this all comes back to Brent Brennan and looking kind of clueless. I mean, you look at him and there's no identity. There's literally no identity, and I think that's the part that is the most concerning about all of this. And that is something that we're going to talk about here in just a second. But first, FanDuel. All right, now, at this stage in the game, you might say, Arizona football, they stink. I'm going to bet against them. Good call. So here's the deal. Go to FanDuel and check out odds, all kinds of really good stuff. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Again, NFL fans, you can get started here with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Again, check it out, FanDuel.com. Get in there if you're thinking to yourself, man, I want to make some money. You might want to bet against Brent Brennan at this point. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Mike Luke. All right, now let's talk a little bit about where Arizona is now when it comes to the identity. There's no identity on this team. You look around college football, and you've got guys that have identities. You've got guys that know exactly what they're looking to do. And, I mean, you look up the street. You look up at Kenny Dillingham. He's going to be energetic. He's going to recruit the Valley. He's going to try to make it hip. He is involved everywhere. He's done a good job. You look at other coaches. Deion Sanders, you know what he's going to do. He's going to bring flash. He's going to bring sizzle. He's going to do a lot of that. That's the case there. Jed Fish, you knew exactly what he was going to do. He wanted to be able to get bigger, faster guys on the outside, skill position guys, and if he was going to miss, he was going to miss big, and he just had a template for what he wanted to do. Brent Brennan has none of that. Brent Brennan looks like he kind of came in and he's like, well, just kind of do what I do here, just kind of, mosey around. And it has not worked. He looks like he's in well over his head. Not only does he look like he's in well over his head, there also doesn't look like there's any hope of any form of survival, getting better, anything like that. This is a train wreck that we are watching. Now, defensively, the team is hurt. There's no doubt about it. You're missing a lot of dudes. You're missing a lot of dudes in the secondary. You're missing at the linebacker spot. Jacob Manu might be out. You're missing, you had a lot of injuries. Isaiah Johnson before the game. You're dealing with a lot, but this team also wasn't good before that. I think Dwayne Aquina is very good. I think that what Dwayne Aquina has been able to do, kind of mixing and matching, I hope that Dwayne Aquina is here for as long as he wants to be here, but this is still, this was a defense that there shouldn't have been a ton of high expectations for because, again, this is not a great, from a personnel, from a talent perspective, this is obviously less than ideal. So there is that. But this is just, there's no other way to put it, though. This is about as low as it gets, and I think we're at the stage, too, where it's impossible to look at Brent Brennan and say, that's the guy. And, tomorrow we're going to talk about, what exactly are Arizona's options going forward. And I don't know that there's a lot of great options there. Now, could you maybe get the money? Possibly. If you can get the money, then maybe then you get him out of here. Because again, it's definitely fair to say at this point that he's not the dude. And if you know that he's not the dude, you probably need to try to go ahead and get something going on where you're like, okay, maybe we can make something happen. I don't know, but Brennan's not the guy. You know he's not the guy, and he's not going to be the guy. So what do you do from here on out? Well, Arizona can lose absolutely every single game they play. Not only can they lose every single game, it wouldn't surprise me at all if this is a 4 or 5 win team. It doesn't feel like a bowl team at this point. And not only does it not feel like a bowl team, it feels like a team that's getting worse. And I think that's the problem, is that it feels like it's getting worse. Colorado, like I said, is not a great team. They're certainly a lot better than Arizona, but they could play Arizona 50 times, and they would beat Arizona all 50 times. There's no other way around it. It's really that simple. And so you got to be able to give them that just shouldn't be the case, because this is not a team that's actually absolutely been, blowing the doors off of people this season. But that's just kind of the way it is. They have not looked impressive at all. So what do you do next? I don't think they know. And I think that's the problem, is that I don't think that they have there's no ingenuity. There's no idea that, okay, well, we got to do this or we got to do this. There's none of that. And when you watch him in the presser, what he's going to say is this. He's going to say, well, you know what? We got to stay together. It's important that we all stay together. And if we stay together, then things will work out. But you don't really get any sense that there is a plan. Staying together is not a plan. And I think that's the big problem with that. We're going to talk about then what we're going to talk about the next show, and if you can get rid of him or not, because that's going to be an interesting situation. Now, first, let's talk game time, though. Now, if you're looking for to go to Arizona, you probably won't need game time because, again, there's probably not going to be a lot of people going to these games. So you can certainly, you could probably get in on your own. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time, though. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time app. What time is it? Game time. Ooh. Okay. That is Game Time. Like I said, you're going to need that for probably other things than Arizona football. That would be my impression anyways. Thanks for giving it a Locked On Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now, going forward, can you get rid of Brent Brennan? We're going to talk about that. I think it's fair to say at this point he's clearly not the guy. Now, maybe there's some alumni out there that are going to be blind and are just going to say that anybody that's out there, they are going to say that is the guy. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. But he's clearly not. Now, this is going to be up. It's going to be interesting to see what can DRF do. Can DRF get him out of there? Because listen. Things like this, you got the $10 million buyout. I get all of that. But if you know that somebody's not the guy, then you're only making your job more difficult by just kicking the can down the road. And Brent Brennan's clearly not that guy. He's clearly in well over his head. And I don't see that anything changing there. You look ahead then, you got West Virginia. You got some other schools. Arizona could lose. Like I said, you're looking at not a good team here, and what he's done in short order has just been astounding. And Colorado, but I think the thing, if you're worried, the thing with Arizona is that Colorado didn't even play that great, and I think that's what's kind of concerning about this is that Colorado didn't play that great, and yet you still got the sense that, man, this team is so much better than Arizona. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. What can you do? Can you get Brent Brennan out of here? Are you stuck with him? Because, again, if you're stuck with him, there's going to be a lot of, basketball season is right around the corner, and there's going to be a lot of that talk as well. But overall, just a very dispiriting performance. I think, at this stage, this team's not very good. And how much of this do you put on Brent Brennan? I think you got to put almost all of it. He appears in over his head, and I don't know that there's really any any way that you can say that he is not. But we're going to talk a lot more about that, obviously, all week. Then we got Arizona basketball coming up as well, so there's a lot to get to. But on that note, on this solemn post-game show. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats, and we will be back with you tomorrow.